Okay, so today you're going to start creating your final outcome from all the different pieces of paper that you've been making. So you've got the stencils, you've got the graphite rubbing, and you've got the dry brushing on the wallpaper. Now, as you can see, I haven't stuck any of this down yet because you wouldn't do that right until the very end. So at the moment, you should have a rough design that looks something like this, although you should have written on yours what should go where. For example, I'm going to write rubbing here, I'm going to write dry brushing there, and homework here, and a stencil in each side. Alright, so it's really important that you start with a design where you've decided what's going to go in each section. At the moment, that is too rough and too sketchy to create a neat design from. So what you need to do is you need to make yourself a new one. Right? The easiest way of doing this, if your design is centralised or symmetrical, is to start by just folding the very top two corners so that they meet like that, and then just putting a tiny little pinch at the top like that, just a little pinch. Don't run your hand all the way down because you'll get a crease and you might not want that. Repeat that process at the other side like this. So you've got a little mark there, so your little corners come together, a little pinch here, and then you just put a mark at the top and the bottom like that. Then you're going to take a ruler and you're just going to very gently and very lightly, so you don't really want to see this line too much, just run your pencil over there. So you've got a line of symmetry in the middle so that when you draw out your shapes, you know they're going to be nice and balanced. I wanted two triangles and I want my triangle to start in the middle, so I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to fold the paper over like that, make sure that the corners meet, little tiny pinch, flip it over, make the corners meet, little tiny pinch, let go, mark, mark, and then just drawing them together really gently. At the moment, these are not your stencils, this is not your design. This is not what you'll cut out, it's just to help you plan them. Then I'm going to start with my point of my triangle right at the bottom, in the middle, and I'm going to run it up to that middle section here on the side as well. So starting at the bottom in the middle, running up to that middle section. Your design won't necessarily look like this is just the example one. Whatever your design is, it doesn't matter, but as I said, if it is centralised, like a centred composition like we talked about in the video last week, then you will need to make these marks and plan them. If your design is the rule of thirds, then that is going to be slightly different. I can come and help you with that, or your teacher will come and help with that. Alright, now you've got two triangles. You don't need to draw this triangle out because for me, you don't need to draw this circle out. Necessarily, depends what your image looks like. So if your image is already a circle, then as I said, you don't need to do that. But if, like me, you've got like a big circle in the background, though you would cut that out separately later, but you want these big shapes, they will go underneath. So it's like about layering things. Look, so I cut the whole triangle out here. I cut both the triangles out, and then I layered the circle on top. So obviously, as I said, it will come out of a separate piece of paper. Then you cut these out one by one. Don't cut them all out at once. You will lose them, they'll get lost, you'll forget what they're for. Literally cut one piece of white paper at a time. Really carefully, try and make sure that those lines are nice and neat and even so that all the pieces slot together really nicely. Alright? So, in an ideal world, I would have written rubbing there. Okay, so make sure you label all your sections with what they're going to be. Then I'm going to take my piece of rubbing. There we go. Alright, there's my drug. And obviously, you need to make sure that your template fits the paper. I'm going to turn that round because it doesn't fit. If you've got paper which has a pattern on, ideally it's nice to try and centralise it. So you can see here, I made sure that that circle was right in the middle so that I had a balanced composition on either side. Okay, for this one, it doesn't matter so much because it's not really a pattern in the same way. You won't be able to see it, doesn't matter where I put it. You get your template, you turn it over, and you put little bits of blue tack in the corners. You don't need a lot, You really just need little tiny pieces like that. So you roll them into a ball, press them in the corners, like this. Place it down on your chosen paper. You draw around it with a ruler, really neatly. As I said, the idea is that all these shapes will slot into each other and will fit together. So you need to do this really carefully and neatly. Okay, and then flip it round. And then, and this is really important, you remove that template. Okay. Then following the lines that you've just made for yourself, you carefully cut along those. If you're not very good at cutting or you're not feeling very confident, don't worry, just take your time and do it nice and slowly. Okay, like that. Alright, I'm going to cut that last little piece off there because I don't want that black stripe. But you can have a stripe at the top if you want to. So for example on this finished piece that I did, I deliberately chose to leave a little yellow stripe. That's completely up to you. Alright, so then you get your blue tack, okay, and you just put it in the corners again like this. Now it's up to you what coloured paper you want to put this on. So you could just put, if you're not sure, you can just put it onto white. But I chose red. And you can see that by just placing that yellow triangle over the top, it's creating these little red spaces here. Right. And all I do then is I go on and I make like those little stencil triangles on the side. I'd make the dry brush circle in the middle, and then lastly I would put little strips of black paper like this. Okay, we're not going to do these today, we'll probably do these next week, depends how far you get on. Okay, but then when you've cut out all the shapes, the very last stage is to layer these black strips over the top. You don't have to have them if you don't want to, but it really helps to define the areas like that, look. But you wouldn't do those, as I said, until you've done all these other shapes there. If you're doing circles, there are some templates in different sizes that you can use, cardboard ones, and you just lay them on and you just draw around them. But as I said, that's what you do. So you start with your rough design, you draw it out so that it is really nice and neat, like that, using a ruler very, very carefully. Oh, wrong way around. There we go. There you go, nice and neat, very carefully. You label all the sections and you cut out one section at a time. You put blue tack on the back. Okay. You layer it over your chosen pattern or design, whatever you're doing, like stencils, rubbings, dry brushing. You draw around it with a ruler and a pencil. Okay, you remove it, you cut it out. Okay, you put it on a plain or a coloured piece of paper, okay, and you repeat that process until you've got all of the different shapes. If you're doing circles, there are different sizes of circles, so you can create borders quite easily. Just ask and somebody will give those to you. Okay, and that is pretty much it.